this is Linda Cohn from ESPN, and you're listening to the ML Sports Platter.
Sports Platter is back with you all over the major platforms. Download, subscribe, leave feedback, and a 5-star review. We're brought to you by Stanley Law Offices, Bryant and Stratton College of Syracuse, and our great friend Brian Comboy at Mass Mutual New York State. Tax-efficient retirement planning. Get with Brian today. See him on LinkedIn. Go get him on Facebook, or visit advisors.massmutual.com. That's advisors.massmutual.com. Brian Comboy of Mass Mutual New York State is a proud ML Sports Platter sponsor. A big tip of the cap thank you as well to the Vince Aguirre Consulting Group and the Swan and Whitaker families for their support of the platform, as well as Prestwick Golf. How about it? Anthony Castrovince, MLB.com, contributor, MLB Network correspondent, covers Major League Baseball, at Castrovince on Twitter. And make sure that you go buy his book online where books are sold and in bookstores near you. It's a fan's guide to baseball analytics. It's very fair, whether you love or hate analytics. It's a fair look at it. I've read it. It's terrific. Anthony Castrovince, welcome aboard again here, buddy. And we're getting close to the finish line for the regular season, and certainly induction day here tomorrow in Cooperstown. Plenty to talk about.
I'm doing well, Mike. Busy times for you as well, heading off to Cooperstown, huh?
Yeah, I can't wait for that. The induction as we record this tomorrow, and for sure looking forward to it. And I wanted to start there with you. The class, obviously, Marvin Miller, we know, self-explanatory, creating free agency. Ted Simmons, you and I didn't probably get a chance to play, to see him play, I would say, in his prime. But the two big guys, of course, are Larry Walker, and the really big guy is Derek Jeter. Hit me with something on Walker that you remember from his career that stands out. And then the Derek Jeter thing, I almost feel like he had a perfect baseball career.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, Derek Jeter did have the perfect baseball career in the perfect place. So, much has been said over the years about while he was a great player, maybe things did get aggrandized a bit just playing in that market. But that's kind of the point. I mean, that's a heck of a market to have a heck of a career, and all the pressure that comes with playing there. And what always amazes me when I look at Derek Jeter's numbers is not even so much the performance, but the sheer number of games played in October. He played a legit season in October, which, most players just don't get that opportunity. And to play 158 games in the postseason and have an 838 OPS, I think that says a lot. It's always debated in baseball and sports in general. Is there such a thing as clutch? And, or is it just that, you give a great player enough opportunities on the postseason stage and his talent will shine through? Maybe there's some truth to that, but again, playing on that stage that frequently in that market and to have the numbers he has just in the postseason is always something that stands out to me about Derek Jeter. As far as Larry Walker is concerned, I think this is way overdue. Him getting his time on that stage. And obviously COVID only prolonged it, but he had to grind it out on the ballot for many years. But there's a guy who, yes, he played in Coors Field. We all know that. But he put up good numbers everywhere, and he could do just about everything. And so I think his defensive value is maybe been difficult to peg. We know he has the 7 Gold Gloves, but that's something that maybe doesn't show up as much in the numbers. But just a great hitter and a great personality as well. You asked me what I remember most. It's funny, but what I remember most about Larry Walker was the All-Star game where he goes over to the right-handed batter's box facing Randy Johnson. That one's always vivid in my memory. So it said a lot about his personality and the fun he had. Says a lot about Randy Johnson as well.
Yeah, you bring up Jeter in the postseason, and I know that there are fans out there who will never come over to the side of Derek Jeter actually is not overrated, folks. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer who's 6th all-time in hits. Look at the plays. Look at Mr. November. Look at the flip. Look at the clutch plays. And in the postseason, so many baseball fans, though, fail to understand that in the playoffs, it's so much harder. You're facing better teams, better bullpens, teams that won all year in most cases, great starting pitching, elite aces. you're facing all of that. And Jeter hit 308 with 20 homers, with 61 RBI, with 200 hits on the nose, with the OPS you mentioned. Anthony, he literally didn't come off ever in the playoffs from his 310 regular season average in the postseason. And look, again, like I said, I know that there's going to be the people who never come off of he's overrated, New York, the payroll, everything. He had everything handed to him. He had a great lineup. He had Torrey. He had all of it. Yeah, well, he did have all that, but he had to deal with New York. He had to deal with the pressure. He came right in and won right away. He won Rookie of the Year. He's captain of the team. He's the face of baseball in a lot of cases. Do you think the fans, anti-Yankee people, whether they're Red Sox fans, Jay fans, Braves fans, Dodger fans, whoever, do you think that pack of people who believes Jeter's overrated, do you think they'll ever come around? And you know what? There's some media people, too. Do you think they'll ever come over and say, you know what? It's over. It's done. This guy is really, truly an icon.
I think moments like this give people that opportunity, because you are removed from it. You're removed from the heat of battle, and 6 years gone now from his career ending. I don't know anybody who would argue this guy's not a Hall of Famer. So and then it's just a matter of semantics at that point. Underrated, overrated, Hall. We at the time of the election announcements, we make so much about the percentages. And Jeter fared pretty well there at 99.7. Should have been 100%, but that's okay. But that's all semantics. A Hall of Famer is a Hall of Famer, and this is an inner circle Hall of Famer at that. I think most people would have to agree with that. And again, maybe time, you get step away from the rivalry aspect of Boston fans or just people who are sick of hearing about the guy. Now you hear about him more in an ownership sense, and he owns the underdog Marlins. So maybe that casts a sheen on Derek Jeter now that we can appreciate his playing career all the more when he was the top dog.
All right, let's hit some quick things in MLB as we near the finish line of the regular season, then I'll let you go. Again, Anthony Castrovince here, MLB.com, MLB Network. Get him on Twitter, @Castrovince. Let's start out in the NL West, actually. Giant, I tell you, I know Shohei Ohtani is, number one storyline for everybody. I got the Giants at like 1A here this year. I mean, this is what a year, man. 38 games over 500. Who you got in the West, Giants or Dodgers? And that was a hell of a series for San Fran against their rivals recently, Anthony.
That was a great series, and I'm not in any way putting down the Giants. We have them number one in our power rankings off that series. It's kind of hard not to. They won the season series. They won the weekend series. And you're right. They do keep grinding it out. They're creative with their pitching usage. Right now, they're creative by necessity because they're a little banged up on the pitching front. But they're kind of going about it in a Tampa Bay Rays-like way of just mixing and matching and making it work. I still think the Dodgers are going to win the division. I believe in 162, talent shines through, and I think the Dodgers just have more talent and what they added at the trade deadline. Max Scherzer has been great for them, and it's a shame these two don't see each other down the stretch, but they both have tough schedules. But I just think the Dodgers are probably going to pull it out, but that's no knock on the Giants because to be here is certainly above people's expectations, and they'll be a really interesting postseason team no matter how they get there, be it a wild card or division winner, because they've been good about mixing and matching their pitching. They've been really good about utilizing their bench, which could play up in the postseason, and just balancing workloads. Buster Posey, the great season he's had is a result of playing 2 out of every 3 days. They've really managed his workload well, and they've done that for other guys as well. So they've had some unexpected contributions. They've had some, veteran players that have really turned back the clock for them. And Brandon Crawford's had an incredible season for them with more power than we've ever seen from him. So they're a really interesting and fun team. I do think the Dodgers are the better team. I think most people would say the Dodgers probably have the better chance of winning the World Series, but that doesn't necessarily mean they win the division.
The NL East is just, it's brutal. But the Braves have really come back here. They've had a lot of injuries, man. Soroka and Acuna Jr. Who wins that division? Do you have them, the Phillies, the Mets? They're making a late charge here. They're finally at 500. Met fans would tell you that the way they act, you'd think that they're 30 games over 500. But who wins that division, Anthony?
Well, I picked the Braves going into the season, and I might as well stick with them. but it's certainly not the way I expected or anybody expected, themselves included. You don't expect them to lose Ronald Acuna just before the All-Star break and then take over first place.
Yeah.
I mean, they played better without Acuna than with him, and I give Alex Anthopoulos a lot of credit for really, taking that moment. And if you remember, they lost Acuna, and within a couple of days, they added Jack Peterson. So he really changed, and not that Jack Peterson is Ronald Acuna, but just within that clubhouse, he changed the conversation from, oh boy, the wheels are coming off to, oh no, the management still believes in us. Let's go out and try to win this thing. So I thought that was really interesting and really important. And then they played great, from that point on. And then of late, they've run into some trouble, and the Phillies have gotten hot. The Mets had this, maybe it was a galvanizing moment with the thumbs down to the fan base and all the chaos surrounding the Mets. They've played much better since then. So I don't know, man. Your guess is good. That division has been just not the way anybody drew it up. We all thought that was going to be the best division race in baseball. And maybe it is the best division race in baseball, but it's the best by being the worst. And by having this cluster of teams at the top, who none of them have played to their expectations. But ultimately, I'll take the Braves. I feel like they'll pull it out. But, I don't know, man. You can't take anything for granted in the NL East this season.
How dangerous are the Brewers?
I think they're really dangerous. Well, first of all, since Willie Adames joined that team, they have the best record in baseball. Now, Willie Adames, he injured his quad over the weekend, so that's certainly something to watch. He's become so important for them. And it's just this crazy storyline in baseball this season where the Rays are the best team in the American League. They traded their starting shortstop to a team that then became the best team in baseball since that moment. And everybody's kind of happy with it because the Rays improved their bullpen, and then they call up Wander Franco, who's been so unbelievable.
Yeah, he's pretty good, huh? Oh, my God.
So, and then Willie Adames just carries the Brew Crew. Yeah. So just really a fun deal. But, yeah, obviously they got to get Adames healthy by October, and hopefully they will. So that's a big X factor there. But their pitching, man, it's so hard to match up with in a short series. Now, I guess another X factor is just how that pitching holds up, Corbin Burns getting into new innings territory and that sort of thing. But, Corbin Burns, Brandon Woodruff, Freddie Peralta, you get the back end of the bullpen, Devin Williams and Josh Hader, and they got a bunch of arms back there that they can match up so well. And then Craig Counsell, he's just sorely underrated. He's probably an underrated player in his day, and he's certainly an underrated manager as well. He's really ahead of the game and manages the game so well, manages the bullpen so well. That's been a real constant for them in the last several seasons. So, yeah, they'll be a tough team to stare down in October.
AL MVP, NL MVP, the Cy Youngs. I mean, in all those categories, nobody's really way out front and center. Nobody's doing the Secretariat thing and it's, blowing people away. Who do you have right now in the driver's seat for those awards, Anthony?
Well, the only one I would disagree with you there is AL MVP because I'd be shocked if Shohei.
Shohei, okay, all right, fair enough.
Yeah, I obviously, Vlad Guerrero Jr. had an incredible season for the Blue Jays, and they're playing well down the stretch, and that matters. In a truly traditional season, Vlad Guerrero would probably be your MVP, but I mean, what Ohtani has done is you can't talk about it enough. It's just absolutely insane to be the best pitcher on your team,
and he'll be sitting home for the playoffs.
Yeah, of course. He plays for the Angels. Yep. You'll have that. But
that's it.
I mean, here's the numbers, Mike. So he's made 20 starts. He's been 50% better than league average as a starter. And that right there, that's a really good season. That's now if he had more innings, you think about him maybe in the Cy Young realm. He doesn't really have enough innings for that, but still 20 starts is no small sample. And then as a hitter, 57% better than league average. He's going to lead the majors in home runs. He's stolen north of 20 bags. He's driven in more than 90 runs. He's hit 25 doubles. This is an absolutely absurd season. And honestly, the Angels have no business having the record they do. They barely had Mike Trout this season. They barely had Anthony Rendon this season. Their pitching is terrible. So Shohei Ohtani has, even if you value the standings in the MVP discussion, you kind of have to look at it from that perspective. Yeah. It doesn't have to be from a playoff team. And their record is what it is. They're hovering around 500 because of Shohei Ohtani. So I think he's going to run away with that. But yeah, the other awards are kind of tricky. Cy Young Award has been kind of a moving target. I think Garrett Cole might be cementing his case there, but a lot can happen in the last few weeks. Lance Lynn was kind of in that mix. He got hurt. So that's in the NL Cy Young race. Jacob deGrom's injury obviously changed that a great deal. You got a bunch of names in that mix. Zach Wheeler, Walker Buehler. I mentioned Burns and Woodruff. I mean, that one's going to come right down to the wire. I think the Rookie of the Year race in the American League will come right down to the wire as well. National League, Jonathan India, the Reds probably has the best clear cut Rookie of the Year case. But it's fun when these last few weeks matter, not just for the teams and the standings, but for the award races as well. Yeah,
no doubt about it. Did the Yankees make the playoffs?
I think so. Yeah, I mean they've obviously hit a rut here after the big win streak, but it's probably going to be Yankees Red Sox. But man, the Mariners won't go away.
Blue Jays won't go away.
The Blue Jays won't go away. The A's probably have another run in them, despite how poorly they played in the last couple of weeks. But the Yankees. That's another one where I guess you just bet on talent ultimately, and we've kind of been saying that all year. And sometimes look really dumb saying that because sometimes their talent has not played very well. I think they'll piece some things together. Corey Kluber's a big X factor in that race, in the wild card race. Pretty much hand the division title to the Rays at this point, but that wild card race is pretty fun. And I don't know, Mike, I got to kind of root for the Mariners. I don't think it'll happen, but man, that's a fun story if it does happen. They have the longest postseason drought in the game. They have no business being in playoff position or vying for playoff position. They traded their closer at the deadline to their division rivals. But here they are, still mathematically alive. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, and by the way, Tom Murphy, I wish them well because Tom Murphy, the catcher for the Mariners, he does a lot of platooning, obviously, and sharing time, but he's from my high school. He went to my high school several years after me, though. So, he's a young buck for sure. Let's end it on this. State of the Union in the American League. Where are we at? Do you trust the Astros? Do you buy stock into the White Sox? Who's the number one contender? I got to tell you what, man. I don't know how the hell the Rays keep doing it, but right now, I don't know. They just win every game. They figure out every which way to win. Snell's gone. Morton's gone. No problem. The bullpen. They trade Castillo. You mentioned the shortstop situation. Tampa Bay is lights out. How do you power rank it? Who do you pick? Who's the favorite? Who do you buy stock in? Take me across the AL as we get to the finish line here in 2021.
Yeah, it feels somewhat anything can happen kind of a feel to it. I mean, in the National League, you have the powerhouse Dodgers. The Giants have played great. Even the Padres, if they get in, are so loaded. But the American League is kind of a hodgepodge because of the way the Rays go about it. I'm sure there'll be some skepticism about them making another run to the World Series like they did last year. Last year was so unusual. It played right in the Rays' favor, having the shortened schedule. And then, their arms were fresh enough in October that, they were able to handle anything that came their way, really, until the Dodgers got involved. This year's different, so are they going to still be able to mix and match the way they have all season? I would challenge anybody, including me, to name the Rays rotation right now, in light of losing Tyler Glass now and just trading Rich Hill. It looks a lot different. They lost Charlie Martin in free agency. They lost Blake Snell. So it's really untested in October. And so while they are a juggernaut in the regular season, they might not necessarily be one in October. The White Sox are really banged up right now. I mentioned Lynn, Giolito, Tim Anderson's banged up down the stretch. So, that's a challenge for them. I do think they have a great opportunity, though, if they can get healthier. But before now and then, they obviously have all the time in the world. They have a division race to worry about. And the Astros, they got a lot of playoff pedigree. They have a younger pitching staff they've had in past years. But, we saw last year where they got into October and all of a sudden just turned it on and almost made it back to the World Series again. So, I really don't know the answer to that question. I probably would have said the White Sox a couple of weeks ago. Again, the injury trouble kind of concerns me a little bit, but they're probably the more conventional candidate to go deep just because of the way that rotation could set up if healthy, but it has to be healthy.
All right, Anthony Castrovince, make sure you go check out his work at MLB.com. Included in that great profile of his work is the Todd Blyleven story. It's amazing stuff. The life changed after a Las Vegas shooting. It's a must-read. Go read that and all of his other content, and catch him on MLB Network as well. And go buy the book online where books are sold, A Fan's Guide to Baseball Analytics. Anthony Castrovince, at Castrovince on Twitter. Anthony, thank you as always. Always love chatting with you, and continued success your way. Enjoy the rest of the year.
Likewise, Mike. Appreciate that, man. Thanks for having me on.
Mike, it's always good to talk to you. Thanks for having me on.
No doubt, man. Love having you. Tomorrow is induction day, finally, for the class of 2020. Derek Jeter included in that. What do you remember most about his career? There's so many moments, so many unbelievable accomplishments, but is there something that stands out when you were covering him in New York City?
Yeah, I think you touched on. I think it's just the enormity of how many moments he was able to put together. I mean, you want to argue for one, and then all of a sudden you think of four more. And I think that really kind of speaks to, why he's a Hall of Famer, is because he was able to maintain that level for so long. I know once you wander a little farther away from New York, people start to question if Jeter was as good as he was, or if he was a product of New York City. But I mean, all you got to do is look at the numbers, and look at all those hits, look at all those incredible moments that led to world championships for the Yankees. And if he's not a Hall of Famer, I'm not sure who is.
Yeah, no doubt. Yankees, Mets, do they make the playoffs?
I think the Yankees squeezed in, and I think it'll be an interesting one-game survival test. The Mets have I just think the Mets have shot themselves too many holes in their feet the last couple of weeks. Monday being the most recent killer. But they do have a way to kind of make their fans squirm. So I do think they'll probably stay around the conversation till the end. But I think the Mets will fall short. The Yankees will get into the one-game playoff and then take their chances.
Yeah. Well, I've said it all along. I don't buy into this team. They got back in. It was a 13-game win streak. Nice, great. Rizzo, Gallo, yay. I give them credit for getting back, but again, the same issues are happening. They stop hitting when it matters. The starting pitching is taxed. The bullpen starts to get taxed because of the aforementioned starting pitching, and the injuries are starting to come back through again as well. And the Rays keep winning and showing how to continue this train of Rays baseball, with $150 million less to play with. It's just, they still have the same problems and the same holes. So they're either going to get in, lose a wild card game, get in, win the wild card game, and lose in the ALDS to whoever, or they're just not going to make the playoffs. Those are the three scenarios for me. I just don't see them getting past the ALDS.
Yeah, I don't think they're a championship team. You look across baseball and you look at the teams that are really legitimate contenders. The Yankees at this point don't look that way. If you're a Yankee fan, I guess that's you have to hope that you capture like lightning in a bottle. And if it's the old saying with the lottery, you got to be in it to win it. If you're in it, you throw Garrett Cole in the playoff game, and then you take your chances from there. But that's not necessarily what the Yankees want. They don't want to be a team that's taking their chances getting in the playoffs. That's a kind of a different perspective for a good Yankees team, especially a team. Look, if you rewind it to April, this wasn't a team that was going to be a bunch of overachievers. They were expected to win the East. They were good enough to win the East, and just that just hasn't happened the way the season has progressed.
Over to football, Giants, Jets. What are your expectations for these two?
Well, I think the Jets could be a lot more improved than the Giants, and the Giants could wind up with a better season, just because more successful. It's only because the two divisions the teams play in. The Jets play in a stacked division, and they could be 75% better and still finish in fourth place. I think, just because you have probably the best team in the conference in the Bills. I think anyway. You have the Dolphins who are improving, and we're starting at a higher plane than the Jets were, and the Patriots are the Patriots. So in the NFC East, I suppose that if everything goes well for the Cowboys, they're probably the favorites. I suppose maybe the Washington football team could be, because they won it last year and they have some Fitzmagic going this year. But look, I mean, I think that's still a division that could probably be won with 8 or 9 wins. I mean, until I'm proven wrong, that's what I'm going to believe. And are the Giants good enough to get there? Probably not, but I mean, they came awfully close last year, and they were kind of the reminder. As much we love to talk about how long a baseball season is. A football season can be pretty long too, as the Giants proved last year.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Bonnie's, man, we're close. I know you're pumped. God, this roster, they're loaded. It's almost scary. I'm almost terrified because of the expectations and the hype. It's amazing. The Bonnies and the Bills, I feel the same way about them, but I'm still pumped up because I think they're both really, really good teams. But anything can happen in sports. We know that, and you hit the reset button. Give me kind of your state of the union on this club. Do you think they can handle the hype? Can they win a tournament game? How good can it get for SBU here, man? It's going to be fun.
Well, I mean, you're talking about a team that went through an awful lot together last year. They're opening the core of it is all back, and they've gotten better. They've added, other pieces. I think if there was one problem with the team last year is that they probably relied too much on that core 5 all game. I mean, if you can get those guys to play 30 minutes a game as opposed to 38 minutes a game, and without much of a drop off, I think that's going to be enormous. And they're so experienced. I mean, it feels like Lofton and O'Shoon have played 200 games for the team. That's a lot of experience, and they're not going to be intimidated by a lot. You can never tell. I mean, gosh, sports. Just the moment you feel comfortable is when something goes sideways. But look, if they can kind of replicate the season they had last year, which is to say, they weren't perfect, but they were awfully good. They got they were playing their best basketball at the end, except for the LSU game. And if they get the right draw, look, I think they could have won a game last year if they would have got a better draw. But LSU was a difficult matchup for them. And it showed.
God, they missed so many shots in that game, though, right?
And that's the thing. It's it was so uncharacteristic especially because the 3 games they played previous to that in the Atlantic 10 tournament, they were just so on point against good teams. Against St. Louis, against Virginia Commonwealth. Even Duquesne, is a team that knows how to play you tough and. It was just that's what was shocking is that they were playing so well, and then it did seem like a little bit of the bright lights, but also look, I mean, LSU was a bad matchup for them. They were an athletic team, they were a tall team. The one thing that Bonnies have against Atlantic 10 teams is you got to shoot at the back end of everything, and O'Shoon, while he had a good game, he was he wasn't exactly the most special guy in that game because it was LSU, it's the SEC. And that's all just part of the luck of the draw.
Yeah, no kidding. There's no doubt about it. I'm super excited for the year, though. It should be a lot of fun. I'm with you on LSU. It's just NBA guys and length and all that sort of thing. But, man, I wonder if the Bonnies could have just hit a couple of those shots, not to get in a hole that they were in, that big hole. Maybe it could have turned out differently, but this season's going to be incredible. Mike Vaccaro, one of the best in the business, at Mike Vac on Twitter. Go follow him, at Mike VACC, the New York Post sports writer, doing his thing, and you can check him out at nypost.com. And in that collection of content, please go read the Derek Jeter article. It's incredible. One career, one team, one path to Cooperstown by Mike Vaccaro at nypost.com. Mike, thanks, bud.
Hey, thanks, Mike. Great talking to you as always.
The ML Sports Platter is brought to you by Bryant and Stratton College of Syracuse. Great locations, Oswego Street in Liverpool and James Street in the city. Go ahead and visit bryantstratton.edu today. 2- and 4-year degrees are always available, and classes are starting soon at Bryant and Stratton College of Syracuse, the official college of the ML Sports Platter. Great time to be a Bobcat. Can't wait for the hoop season coming up. Soccer's underway and multiple other sports as well. Athletics, academics, and excellence all happening at Bryant and Stratton College. Bryant and Stratton College of Syracuse, the official college of the ML Sports Platter. Tip of the cap, thank you as well to Brewerton Ace Hardware, Ken's Auto Detailing, your official golf course of the ML Sports Platter, Camillus Golf Club, and our good friends at Stanley Law Offices, the title sponsor of the program. Go visit them online at stanleylawoffices.com. That's stanleylawoffices.com. Together, they'll work to get you the maximum reward. Stanley Law Offices online at stanleylawoffices.com. They'll work to get you the maximum award at Stanley Law Offices. Thanks again to Anthony Castrovince and our good pal Mike Vaccaro from the New York Post. I'm Mike Lindsley. This is the ML Sports Platter, and as I always tell you, enjoy the games.